NCIS Los Angeles is now drawing to a close, and as much as we love its action-packed scenes and compelling storylines, there are some things we wish they'd focus on, such as NCIS Los Angeles' unsolved storylines fans are begging to be resolved. But before everything else, we have got to talk about the introduction of Kilbride's ex-wife, played by Marilu Henner. Can you believe it took us this long to dive into Kilbride's past? And yeah, the series finally introduced the character's ex-wife, Elizabeth, who was played by Marilu Henner, while Elizabeth makes her debut.
And we remember, 365 or around that time or something.
Really?
And when we go back into a memory, if I asked you what happened to you this morning, you'd probably trace through your day. And
the team has to deal with a mystery woman who targeted the founder of an AI company. Of course, the team has to act quickly, unless they face the next major global conflict soon. But yeah, back to Elizabeth. What is she doing here? And why come back now? Well, it turns out Kilbride's ex-wife just dropped by to visit him and asked him what he thinks of reconnecting with their son. So from the looks of it, Kilbride may have some important matters to consider, and we're seeing more of his past now.
But I would be remiss if I didn't,
Two new talents will be coming in for Kilbride's arc, playing alongside Marilu Henner.
Because I get so mad at him. I hate being late to an airport. That's my pet peeve, being so late to an airport that your heart is pounding, because so many things can happen to you.
Is Christopher Gotham as their son Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, look, you talk to actors all the time. We have so little control over how our career goes, so you kind of treat every job like it's the last and do the best job you can and try to be nice.
Nope, we won't be seeing him anytime soon. The show opted to introduce Kilbride's wife first to build up the tension and drama. And from what we're seeing, Alex's debut is reserved for much later in the season, signaling that this may be Kilbride's final arc for the series. It's unknown if this plot will be continued in NCIS Los Angeles Season 15, although CBS said last month that the show's 14th season will conclude in May, so there's a chance that they'll wrap this up before Season 14 ends. And yeah, the series is finally ending.
Hey. Talk to me, man. How you doing?
Longtime fans were likely shocked by the announcement, but the good news is that it was revealed in time to plan a fitting series conclusion. Still, it must be hard to stop a program after such a long run on the air, at the very least. At least they announced it sooner, since it must be even more challenging if the writers are denied the chance to satisfactorily wrap up the storylines. And speaking of storylines, if NCIS Los Angeles thought we forgot about these storylines, they're dead wrong. At least wrap some of these up, if not all. Like for instance, Hetty. Isn't her mission done yet? Bring her back. The return of Hetty is a plot the majority of fans want to see. Throughout the majority of the last 3 seasons, the series core has at least been addressed in passing. She was, of course, on a covert mission when she was last observed in Syria. Hetty was then captured on audio during the NCIS crossover.
For a minute.
And Callan and Sam confirmed that she was still alive. So what's taking so long for her to come back? NCIS better bring her back in, perhaps in time for another wedding. And since we already mentioned final arcs such as Kilbride's, isn't it about time that they told us about Callan's history? For the majority of the series, we've seen Callan put in the work to find out the truth behind his background. Sad to say, he still hasn't found out the whole truth. As for us viewers, it's just as frustrating. The man spent most of the previous 2 seasons pursuing Pembroke, the brains behind the Drona project. I mean, wouldn't it be so much simpler if Hetty returned and laid everything out for him? It's unlikely that he could dislike her any more than he already does, given his mental state. You get what I mean? And how about closing up a certain villain's open-ended arc? Like the Body Stitchers? Shouldn't they be stitched up for good? The Grisly Body Stitchers, who construct victims from body parts, were a late addition to the OSP's Rogues Gallery. When last seen, the group's commander, who shockingly turns out to be an FBI rogue agent, was last seen escaping from the hands of the NCIS and the FBI once more.
The only situation I'm aware of is that they were once in a relationship, and that relationship is no more.
As if that isn't bad enough, this wicked villain got his new recruits along with him. So there's a chance that these sickos will strike again. And honestly speaking, we hope they will. Or if the show won't reintroduce the Body Stitchers, at least give new mom Kenzie something to work on. Maybe her stalker? I think it's about time that the show brings back David Kessler, for the thrill of it. NCIS Los Angeles Season 12, Episode 5 served as David Kessler's introduction, and he has since been mentioned once in passing. We gotta know more, man. We haven't seen Kenzie beat someone up for a while now, so maybe introducing David back in the series would be a good game for her. Aside from Kenzie kicking butt, do you know what else we'd like to see once more? Roundtree fighting social justice. I mean, what kind of NCIS Los Angeles season would this be if we didn't have him speaking the hard truth about society? For example, it would be interesting how he would react if he got stopped by racist police, like the ones in NCIS Los Angeles Season 13, Episode 5. If he's not part of the local authorities, it's actually nice to see if he explored what other ventures he could fit into, like maybe trying his hand at politics. Or he could even launch his own foundation. That could work, right? Oh, and of course, we need an update on what happens to Roundtree and Fatima's relationship too. In recent episodes, we've seen the two grow much closer to each other. Do you remember how she reacted when Roundtree was kidnapped during the crossover? She definitely has feelings for him. Maybe they can start dating before the series is through after a few years of interfering in each other's love affairs. Thankfully, beloved recurrent figures like Sabatino and Lance Hamilton have been included in this season's plot. The key question is whether the OSP would remain static in time, or if it will close due to a budget cut, allowing the characters to transition into other positions. Let's assume the latter, because daydreaming is more enjoyable. We could all hope, right? Do not forget that previous comrades Deeks, Kenzie, Sam, and Roundtree received $10,000 checks from computer tycoon Eric. They have a cushion, which will make it easier for them to transition to other jobs. And if there's one character whose transition we'd like to see, it would be Sam's. Sam needs a job with more consistent hours because Raymond's dementia is expected to worsen with time. He's always been a mentor to younger spies, so perhaps he could train SEALs, or he might be able to meet someone and get over Michelle's ghost if he had a more regular schedule. So what else? Well, I think it's about time NCIS Los Angeles gave us Callan and Anna's wedding. Although it's unlikely that G's father will be allowed to enter the nation again, it's one more opportunity to see Arcady. But to be fair, his sister and nephew are welcome. Plus, it's the ideal opportunity for cameos from Eric, Neil, and Nate. Naturally, Hetty must preside as well, so bring her back already. Callan can then transfer to one of the several spook agencies after that, but Anna seems to desire to get away from that existence. She might train to be a PI, which is pretty similar to espionage, just without the political overtones. With that, this has been NCIS Los Angeles Unsolved Storyline that fans are begging to be resolved.